helping you to weather good and bad economies without putting retirement on hold. This is the Tumolo Financial Podcast with Ken and Nick Tumolo. Ken and his son Nick know that creating a comprehensive financial plan can align your hard-earned life savings with your retirement goals. Consider them your retirement architects. Now, the Tumolo Financial Podcast with Ken and Nick Tumolo.
Now, without crunching the numbers, Ken, it's really hard to know how much you're going to need each month in retirement. And Caleb Silver with Investopedia said, it's a big mistake not to ask for financial help. Take a listen to this.
But if you haven't done the math on what it costs to be the you want to be once you get into retirement, you could be very sorely mistaken on how much you're going to need. And what you also don't want to do is go in thinking you have enough, but you really haven't done the appropriate planning to know if that's true or not. So it's those expectations that you think it's going to be all right, but really not knowing the numbers.
So I'm curious, Ken. I want to know what all goes into figuring out what you're going to need in retirement. It sounds like such an overwhelming problem to solve.
And I can tell you the number one concern people have when they come in and they could have saved $200,000, they could have saved $2 million. Do I have enough for retirement? So we always want to start there. And it always starts with numbers. And I know I keep saying that, but you need a plan. Otherwise, you really don't know. Just think about it. If retirement's 20 or 30 years of not knowing, I'd be worried. So what I normally like to do, me and the team, is when we meet with someone, we want to know what their lifestyle is costing them and get an idea of that and then work backwards, because that's really going to tell us whether or not they saved enough. We do that Tumolo Financial Retirement Checkup, but it's best way to put it, it's a great tool. And it gives us the ability to take someone's lifestyle expenses, and then when you're figuring out how to cover that over 20 or 30 years, you go and you look at the different sources of income. There could be Social Security, pensions, drawing from retirement and non-retirement accounts. But most importantly, on top of that, we're also looking at the tax structure, because if you create strategies in taxes, sometimes you're keeping extra money in people's pockets, and that money multiplies over the years. So what you want is a whole plan, and you always want to start off and with that plan knowing whether or not you saved enough. So two scenarios usually happen at that point. One, we figure out whether or not someone saved enough. Then we're looking at different strategies that we can help them with their plan. And then the second thing and most important piece of it is, and those two things that can happen, either someone didn't save enough or they saved enough going into retirement. We had a client in, or a radio listener in, and their big thing was, I want to retire, but I don't think I'll ever be able to retire. And came in, met with them, is actually a husband and wife, gathered that information, and the whole time, and he's giving me numbers, she's giving me numbers, and I'm looking at the numbers, and in my head, I'm like, I know this is going to work, but their biggest concern across the table was, we're going to run out of money. We can't retire. We're probably going to have to work till we're 70, and on and on and on. And it was a major concern for this couple. And I knew in my head the numbers worked. But I won't tell people at that point, because I like to prove it out on paper, because two things. One, I get to prove that I'm right, so I feel good giving them the advice. And then two, if I put numbers in front of them, then they feel more comfortable. So really, you need the proof. And I'm always big on the proof piece. If we can prove it out, then we can structure investments around it. So gather all that information, set up an appointment for them to come back. In between, what we do is I build out the projections, I build out the Tumolo Financial Retirement Checkup, and then all of us sit down here in the office, Matt, Nick, myself, and we go through the plans, because I can say, oh yeah, I know everything. But the thing is when you put someone else in front of it, another advisor, and the three of us are looking at it, sometimes one of us will notice something that the other person doesn't. So it's just that team effort to make sure that the people that work with us are getting, we're trying to put the best plan forward, and we don't want to miss something. So that's why we work as a team. So in between, we do that, have them back. And this couple, I already knew it, and the plan showed it clear as day. They came in, and at the beginning of the meeting, I went over their concerns, and I go, your biggest concern about not being able to ever retire, well, I'm going to prove that you actually can retire. And a big thing, and I'm going to speed it up, I won't go through the whole thing, but went over their numbers, went over their projections, and then showed them a number down when they're 92 years old, that they'd still have about $250,000 left. So what it really showed was there's a little extra in the plan, and not only they didn't have to work till 70. They actually would be able to retire at 66, and actually that would work out for them. So just putting that in front of them, proving the numbers, I made their day. They were pretty excited, left the meeting very excited, and then basically we just did our follow-up meeting, and they're working with us now. But the thing was proving it out, getting them to where they were comfortable to retire, and also pointing out that they'd be able to spend and continue their lifestyle and have some extra to do some extra things. And those extra things might be, maybe we'll leave some extra money to the grandkids or the kids, or maybe they'll take a few more trips. Who knows? But we do that complimentary. It's a starting point, that Tumolo Financial Retirement Checkup, giving them an idea where they can spend. Are they going to be okay? Complimentary to listeners. Our number, 860-854-3434.
Investment advice offered through Tumolo Wealth Management, a Connecticut-registered investment advisor. Content contained herein should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for investment advice or for the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. Please consult with a qualified financial, tax, accounting, or legal professional before implementing any ideas or strategies discussed here.